Selling your home is both a complex and a simple process involving a number of different moving pieces and parts. And if I were to ask you, how many times does your house need to sell until you get paid? You'd probably say, well, one time, right, Cam? Well, most people believe that your home only needs to sell one time before you get paid. Your house actually needs to sell 3 times before you get paid. And so in this video, I want to show you exactly what I mean when I say that and walk you through exactly how we're going to navigate you through the transaction process. But before I jump in, just let me quickly introduce myself if we've never met. My name's Cam Avery. I'm a local resident and real estate agent here in Southern Maine and Seacoast, New Hampshire. Really hope you get something out of this video. Feel free to reach out directly if you have any more questions. Let's go ahead and jump right into the video now. So the first time your house needs to sell is during the offer process. Now, most sellers are familiar with what an offer is, but there's a couple of nuances I want to talk about today. The first is the net proceeds. And so when you get an offer in hand, you're going to look at that purchase and sale and your eyes are going to get wide thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to make all this money. But the number that's on the purchase and sale is not exactly the number that you're going to be walking away with. And so what we like to do for all of our private clients is break down the net proceeds so that you know exactly what you're walking away with at the end of the day. The second piece of the offer is buyer qualification. So buyers are going to come from everywhere. But what we want to make sure is that when we get an offer, we're working with a buyer who is qualified to purchase your home. One of the worst things that could happen is if your home were to hit the market, go under contract quickly, but then in a week or two later, come back off. Now, everyone is wondering at that point, well, what is wrong with the house, right? And so we want to make sure that we avoid that from happening. The way that we do that is we vet every single buyer that submits an offer by looking at their pre-qualification if they're financing and by looking at their proof of funds if they're paying in cash to make sure that we don't end up like that seller who has to come back on the market. The third piece that we're going to look at is buyer representation. And so where exactly is a buyer coming from? Are they represented by another agent? I would say probably 90–95% of the time, buyers are coming represented by another agent. Is the buyer a result of our own marketing, or did you bring a buyer to the table? We have to determine where exactly the buyer is coming from so that we know exactly how to proceed when it comes to negotiation strategy. The second time your home has to sell is during due diligence. Now, when I say due diligence, what comes to your mind? Inspections, right? A buyer is going to want to have their home inspected. Now, there may be a situation if we leverage your position in the market where a buyer considers potentially waiving the inspection. If you were to put on your buyer hat and think, what would be the one time that I would actually waive my home inspection? It's probably if it was a very competitive situation, right? Potentially multiple offers, multiple people bidding on the house. That's the only time you'd consider waiving inspections. More often than not, if that isn't the case, buyers are going to have their inspection, but we want to make sure that we really set expectations very clear with the buyers and buyers agents as to what inspections are for and what they're not for. You know, inspections are not for buyers to come and nitpick every little last piece of your home, right? Inspections are going to be for major health and safety issues and major situations that could cause very, very costly repairs in the future. So we just want to make sure that we really clearly set those expectations with both buyers and buyers agents before they have the inspection. And finally, when we actually get offers, we're going to make sure that you remain in the driver's seat during the negotiation process. And there's a couple levers that we could pull that if we ever get to that point, we'll talk through directly. The third time that your house needs to sell is going to be the lender inspection, otherwise known as an appraisal. The lender's inspection is when a bank sends a third-party company known as an appraiser out to the property to inspect the home to make sure that it's worth what the buyer's paying for it. This is really important because a bank will not lend more than an appraiser says the home is worth. And so what we do for all of our private clients is we represent you in front of the bank. And so we're actually going to go physically to the appraisal and we're going to hand that appraiser all of the comps that we use to price your property. Because let's face it, people are lazy, right? And so if we help them see the value of your property using the work that we've already done, it's only going to help you in the long run. We make sure to do this with all of our private clients to ensure that your home is going to appraise so that everything goes smoothly throughout the entire process. So as you can see on the outside, selling your home looks like a pretty simple process, but there are definitely some moving pieces under the table that as your real estate agent, we make sure to handle throughout the entire process so that when we sit down at the closing table, they're going to hand you a nice big fat check. We're going to shake hands and you're going to be on your way onto whatever's next in your life. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you got something out of it, and I look forward to earning your business in the future.